All right, good morning, everybody. I hope everyone's doing well. Today, we're going to be doing a quick warm up. So, as you can see, I'm doing my regular 2 laps around my yard, always my favorite part. Then, we're going into 10 push ups. Okay, make sure your backs are nice and flat, hands right under your chest, and push up away. Right into 20 jumping jacks, making sure you're leaving the ground every time, getting those arms up nice and high, having fun. Now today was super windy, so I don't have any audio for my videos, so I'm recording right over top, but that's okay. If you get a chance to get to do this workout today, then go for it. If not, I'll find some time this weekend. We're going right into, I believe it is 10 crunches. Keeping that back nice and flat. I did it on concrete, a little painful. I would suggest you do it somewhere comfortable. Then we go into 8 burpees here. Everyone's favorite, burpees. All right, making sure we're jumping up nice and high, getting those hands up above the head every time. Kicking the feet out until your back is flat in a push-up position. And we'll skip doing the push-ups after the burpee itself. All right, so moving on with our soccer lesson. We had a lot of fun last week, but we are moving on to some similar skills, but some things that are going to challenge you in different ways. And we'll end with a little game at the end, very similar to the game that we played last time. So as you can see, what we're doing here is just working on soccer touch. Now, what touch is your ability to gauge how hard or how soft you're hitting the ball. So I started with my right knee, and I held the ball right above it, and I dropped it. And when I pick my knee up, the ball should land right on the top of my thigh and should pop right back up into my hands. Now, if you find that the ball is getting away from you, you can try your best to get that knee a little bit higher so that it stays right close to your chest. If the ball is staying too low and it's actually hard to hit, you can lift that knee up a little bit faster and the ball will go higher. So as you can see, I went from just touching it once to trying to get it twice with both knees, or maybe I do the same knee back and forth. Um, that's all fine too. So try this drill out. After I used the knees, I moved on to my foot, which is a little bit more challenging because you really have to line up the top of your foot where your laces are to where you're going to drop the ball. So you hold that ball out a little bit further in front of you and just release and pick that foot up. Keep the foot flat. If you can see every single time, my toe of the foot that I'm using just lies flat so my laces can really make contact with the ball and it can rise up. Now, keep practicing this. You should do this for about 5 or 6 minutes until you're super comfortable with how it feels. And that's what all you're working on. You're working on the touch of the ball. How hard does the ball move or travel when I pick up my foot or my knee? And the harder I pull up my knee, the further the ball will go, and the softer I pull up my knee, the shorter the ball will go. Okay, moving on, we are on to dribbling again. As you can see, the wind is just yanking my computer all over, but we are working on the same skills that we worked on last time right now, because it's always good to repeat and make sure that we really have the skill down before we move on. So I'm just dribbling around using my right and left foot, using the inside of the foot, using the outside of the foot, trying to change direction, as well as something I don't know if I mentioned last week, making sure that I am able to keep my eyes up. You know, you don't want to be staring down at the ball at all times because that's going to make dribbling the ball in control very difficult. So now, after I got in my little dribble there, I'm moving on to the skill I just practiced, the touch, making sure that the ball stays close to me and then going right into a dribble. So as you can see, I poke the ball up with my thigh. Maybe I use my foot if I found success with that. And then I go into a dribble. I dribble 3 times and return back to the spot I started at and try again. So like I said, you want that ball when you're doing the touch part to stay right next to you, and it should drop right to your feet when you're done. You go into 3 dribbles and you're good to go. Okay, so we have another drill here. As you can see, I'm using a couple traffic cones and some little stools that I had outside, just using anything I have. And all I'm doing is taking that ball and I'm starting at the closest stool and I'm trying to get each pass to get as close as I can to my target, which is the cone that is the closest to us. Now I back up after I get pretty close, or maybe I touch it. Each time, it doesn't matter if you hit it or not, just try and get it as close as you can and then take it one step further back. And you can repeat this. You don't have to just do it once and move on. You should try this a couple times to get as close as you can. Now, right here, the ball gets away from the cone. Not my best performance, but that's okay. I just go over and get the ball. I don't pick it up with my hands. I dribble it back around the cone that I was aiming for, and I go back to where I started. Try and get a little bit closer this time. Now, think about the things that you're doing. Think about the things we talked about last week about staying over top of the ball, guiding your foot right through, pointing it towards the target when you're done, using the side of your foot to pass and not your toe. Try all these skills out. Try and get the ball as close as you can to your target. Have a little jog over to the cone, practice that dribbling, keep the ball nice and close to you, and try and get each distance. Now these distances can be whatever you prefer, but try your best. Okay, moving on to our next drill. Now here we're going to be working on getting the ball up into the air. So I'm not necessarily kicking it as hard as I can. As you can see, the ball doesn't roll too far past my target, but I put the two cones and the stools in between where I'm kicking it and where I'm trying to get the ball to. And I'm just trying to get my foot under the ball, rise it up, and maybe I can get it right over top of what I'm aiming for. That was a good one there. It bounced right off the top of the stool or my target, and that's fine. But to get my ball up in the air, I have to get my foot a little bit lower under the ball. And I kind of scoop, but I don't necessarily lean back. It's more of my foot catching the ball towards the bottom and pulling it up high. Okay? So again, you don't want to be kicking this ball as hard as you can, because then you're going to have to be doing a lot of running. And in a game-like situation, you might kick the ball out of bounds or to the other team. So you need the ball to stay under control. But just give it a little tap right over top of your target, jog to it, and try again. Do this a couple times. Okay, now to our game. We're going to be doing a very similar game to last week with soccer and golf combined, but I'm going to make these a little bit more difficult for myself. And the idea is getting the ball to the other target. So I have a starting cone and a finishing cone, and I'm just trying to get there as quickly or in as little strokes as possible. So as you can see, I made it difficult, and I tried to incorporate one of the skills we practiced today where I couldn't see the cone on the other side of the bush. So I tried to get that ball up in the air. So that was my first stroke, and I'm always counting my strokes here. So there's my second, which ended up right next to the cone. And I'm trying to get this ball now with a nice easy touch to get right to the cone. I tapped it on the side there so I can stop. And alright, for our last hole here, I'll show you one more and then we'll get out of here. As you can see for this one, it's very long, and from where I start, I can't actually see the other cone, the finishing cone. So that means I'm going to have to use some strategy, try and figure out a way to get that ball to get where I need it to be in as little strokes as possible. So today we incorporated touch, we incorporated our ability to send the ball a little bit longer with a pass, and hopefully you guys get to practice some of these skills, and maybe you'll see if you play soccer, you'll improve a little bit more in your passing and dribbling. And maybe if you've never played soccer, maybe this kind of stuff intrigues you and you'll want to do more of it. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Best of luck. I will talk to you all soon. Be well.